welcome back everyone. Today we have another video, this time for a smoker. Again, we're doing the deck for the deck. This is not a complete deck, what you see here. This is just the shell of what I think is the consensus for every black deck right now, or at least any smoker deck right now. Which is pretty much you play four Kusans, I mean Sakatsukis. You play 4 Kusans, you play 4 Barzalinos, and you play 3 of the big drop Kusan. You can opt it up to play 4, but you have to be careful when how many you play of the Kusans, as they can clog in your hand. Even though you have avenues of discarding them, it's not that many, and drawing too many of them is just gonna be a problem, because you can only with red being the best deck in the format, one of the 2 best decks in the format, having so many cards that you cannot counter with and they're so expensive is a liability at points. Another card that is really good in this format is going to be Rocinante. It's just an early play that you can do that could be said for all of these 3 cards. As you can say, I'm opting to play, I think this is the best numbers for this deck, like 3 of the 2k counters, because you do need a lot of defense so you can get healthy with the Kusan. And for the most part, you do also want to play these cards, like Monkey D. Garb against red is really good, because with your leader, you get to -1 something, one of their 1-drops, and then attack something else and KO the 1-drop and do a lot of plays that way. Sengoku is just, his effect is very generic, but I mean, it's just to reduce the cost of something on attacking. But you are, again, as I'm saying, when you're going second, like, because that's what the idea of the deck is. You're opting to go second the majority of the time. And when you're opting to go second, if you have to make plays early on. So this is, if you're playing against Zoro, for example, then this is one of the best plays to do going second. Like, all of these 3 plays are going to be good going second, because it's just... is more of a, like, you're gonna get into the board. Even if they remove it, at least you're forcing them to play a Vista instead of something else, instead of developing a bunch of 1-drops, which is what you don't want to see when you're playing against red Zoro, for the most part. So having these early plays is really good. Kobe, again, is just generic removal. It works very well with the leader. You should play for this one. Tagashi is really good when you're trying to get that reach, so you can do a KO effect. It's been really good for that reason. It's a 2k counter too, so no problems with that. These 2 are the main, these 3 cards are what makes the deck like so powerful going second, because your curve goes 4, 6 into something else, and then you drop a Kusan, and then you have, like, your curve going second is insane. You have to play 4 impact waves. This is not a discussion. This card, when you hit it all alive, is really unfair, and when you are keeping it up, the opponent has to play around it, and it's not always that simple. And you do have to play it at 4. All right, now let's go into some of the options when you're playing this deck as to what you can do. Let's start with Zuru. Zuru, it's an okay card. It just helps you get rich. But what I wanted to showcase her is because she's a 2k counter, and there is a world where you actually want to play more 2ks. As I said, you actually want to play some of the 2ks that you have in hand early game, and then if you're playing them, you also need some of them in hand. So it's kind of a give or take. If you see yourself playing a lot of the 2ks early game, maybe you should up the 2k counter a little bit more, like maybe adding 2 of the Zuru, so you still have some good defense, because you have to get healthy to the Kusan so you can win the game with that card. Just another option. Izuka, I don't know, I haven't seen many people play this one. I've been trying it out a lot in my black decks, and I think it's insane against Zoro. Like, for the most part, everyone that knows how this deck operates, they're gonna make you go first. And against Zoro, if they make you go first, like, your turn 1 is gonna be nothing really, and your turn 2 is either gonna be a blocker or one of the 2k attackers. And they're not, like, they're good, but they're not amazing, really. They're not gonna give you anything. Like, instead of that, if you play Izuka going first, like, if they force you to go first, and you play Izuka and you're playing against Zoro, you have a threat. Like, they have to remove this card. So either they do a jet pistol, or they do a roving, and they have to play their own roving, and then they have to, like, try to get rid of this card that way. Because being a 4k is not easy to remove for them. Like, they have to do a combination, like, of Vista plus maybe an Otama or something like that, But if they're wasting 2 cards to get rid of this card, that's just what you want to do. That's 2 less cards that you have to worry about, so your blocker survives, so your other Kusan survives. So she's really good into Zoro, and as I see a lot of Zoros being presented into the deck, into the format, then this is a really good option to play into your deck, and I would absolutely recommend playing this card. Smoker, if you're playing more an aggressive deck, you should play this one. It's okay, it's not that amazing really. Being a 3 energy card, it's a lot, and then it's basically a one-time use on this card because 4K is really hard to defend. So I'm not the biggest fan of this card, but it's an option if you want to be more aggressive with the deck, which you can actually be. You can play this deck being more aggressive, but I mean, it's up to everyone's discretion at that point. Hina, I love Hina. I love to. Some people don't play her because she just gets Jet Pistol, but I still think she's really good in the deck, and I still think like, even if they, again, you have a lot of cards that need to get Jet Pistol and need to get removed, and if they force you to go first, she fits the curve where you go 3 into 5, and that's important. She's really good for just that reason, and being a blocker that just stops something else, again, is really good against aggressive decks, and even mid-range decks that have a lot of 4-drops, even in the mirror, is really good. So I would absolutely consider playing some amount of her. It doesn't have to be a full 4, but some amount. Sengoku is a nice option if you're trying to remove the opponent's cards. Like if you're playing more of the Meteor Volcano in your deck, then you can play more Sengokus, as they will allow you to just make all the cards 0, and then being able to just use your abilities that way. It's not a bad card. It's not too much play. It's just a good option. Smoker, I think you have to play some amount in the deck, because I think this effect of cannot be KO by cards is really important. As is in the mirrors, this card is just godlike. You're gonna be able to have it in the board, and they have to kill it by battle. Basically, there's no other way to kill it. So it's really important to have this effect against purple decks. You're gonna have to have this effect, even against red decks, if they can like minus use any KO effect. It's really important to have these sticky threads that it has a really good effect too. Being able to double strike the opponent for game is really important. So I will play this one as maybe a 2 or even a 3 in the deck, as his effect is really important for what you're trying to do. You have Great Eruption and Meteor Volcano. These cards are more niche. I don't play them as much value quantities in my decks. Maybe a 1 or a 2 of Meteor Volcano, as it serves as another piece of removal, as you don't have that many in the deck. You only have the Kobe and the Kusan and the Sakatsuki. So they're more niche. So maybe adding 1 or 2 of this card is really important, so you can keep up your removal. And Great Eruption is just a card that cycles, and it gives you that reach, and it makes you being able to KO something like that is bigger. I don't think this card is necessary in this deck, but at least it's something another option that you have for the deck. You cycle, you seek through your deck, and you're able to like remove the cost of something like on the field. All right, now into how to approach each matchup depending on what you're playing as a Smoker. Let's talk about then Zoro. Zoro, it's one of your bad matchups, I would say. It's not the easiest to beat, as they do have a lot of early pressure, and it invalidates one of the cards in your deck. In this case being the 10-drop, the Kusan, as you're not gonna be probably able to just play it, and that's a big part of your strategy when you're playing this leader. However, you do get some value on the fact that they play a lot of 1-drops, and you're able to just use the leader to make them 0, and then you're attacking for 7k. So you have a much easier time removing cards out of the board, and that's what you should focus on. Again, if they make you go first, you want to find your early game cards. You should mulligan for that, as having a 2-drop or a 3-drop in that case early on is going to go a long way. Also, you want to have like a Borsalino, as it's going to be a really good blocker early on. Maybe a Hina, having them deal with it is gonna have to be one of the things. If they have the jet pistol, if they have any of these cards that can remove like the Hina, they have it, but there's one less cards that you have to worry about. And just try to play like 2 cards per turn. Try to keep up your like play a 4-drop, like on turn 6. Maybe you play a 4-drop. You keep up your impact wave, so you can actually defend the turns much easier. And that's what you probably have to do when you're playing against Zoro. You're gonna have to try to clock them back. That's why I'm saying like something like the Smoker that can gain double strike and have them take 2 life is gonna be really important. And that's some of the ways that you are gonna be able to win the game when you're playing against Zoro. You have to try to put the pressure back on them, and you have to try to remove the early stuff as much as you can, and try to use those Kusan, the 10 drops, as removal fodder for your Sakatsuki and your Kobis, as they're gonna be able to just remove something else and just keep up in par with the opponent. Against Law, you wanna, if it's possible, you wanna see as much removal early on as possible, as Law does struggle a little bit against that. You could even try to skip one of the turns attacking them, like early on. Like you don't want to give them too many resources, and it's gonna go into a long game for the most part. If you're just trying to remove their cards consistently, and then eventually you're gonna be able to overtake them if you play the 10-drop. So it's a thing to consider if you want to do that. But yeah, removal is gonna be really good against Law. Always is gonna be good against Law. Against Kiemon, your most important card is gonna be the 10-drop. The most amount of 10-drops that you can see in that game is gonna be important, and getting there while also being healthy in the life total is gonna be really what you should base your gameplay around. So try to play like some cards here, the ones that cycle, like the 4-drop Kusan. If you can play it, they kill it, whatever. You serve as a blocker. You force them to deal with your cards, and at the same time you're trying to defend your leader, so as to you're able to play 2 Kusan back to back basically, and that's what's going to allow you to take control over the late game for the most part. And you're gonna probably have to need to do that, as having 2 10-drops is gonna close the game super like quickly than anything else against them. And being able to remove something at the same time is going to be really important for this leader to function correctly. Also, you want to go second against the leader, always. Then we have Ivankov. Ivankov is going to struggle against... I mean, this is not a good or a bad matchup. This is down the middle, to be honest. It's going to be more like you also need to find your 10-drop. You need to find your Kusan. I mean, your... like minus in effects, so you can KO their 10-drops or 6-drops. I mean the 7-drops or 6-drops. But they do have a lot of like out tempo you. If you want to go first, this is the matchup that you want to go first. Actually, you don't want them to go first, because their curve going first is quite scary, and you have to keep them from like playing 2 bodies at a turn, like what they do usually. So you do have to try to go first on this one, and try to just outvalue them by playing the removal and being more efficient at removing their stuff than they can remove you. Z is gonna be down the middle. Actually, you have a lot of cards that say they can be KO, so you're gonna have a decent matchup if you do see those cards and you're able to keep the opponent out of balance. They're only a 4-life leader, so it's gonna be important to be able to play the Kusan first. So you also want to be going second, and but they can remove your Kusan. That's not one of the cards that they have problems with. But still, you still want to be able to be the first one to play the Kusan, because it's not the easiest thing to remove a Kusan. It does require some other things, and being the first one to do that is gonna be really important. Smoker, it really comes down to who can play their Kusan first and untap with it. That's going to be the most important thing when you're playing against this deck. If possible, you would like to have an answer for the 10-drop. So if you're going second on this one, you want to keep the 10-drop and you want to play it on curve. If you're going first and they make you go first as a Smoker player, what you want to do, if possible, is try to play on your turn 9, trying to play 2 of the Kusan that draws cards, So that way, if they do play their Kusan, you're able to at least attack with your other Kusan, negative -5, and play maybe your own 10 drop, or play your Sakatsuki and KO their 8 drop, and then you flip the script on them. So that's gonna be really important in the mirrors. The ones who can stick the 10 drop and is able to just untap with it is probably the one that is gonna win, as it offers too much value for the rest of the game. And against Newgate, Newgate is an okay matchup. The main card that you want to see against him is gonna be definitely your Sakatsuki, as it offers a 7k attacker and at the same time it removes something. So that's the card that you actually want to mulligan for. As playing the 10 drop against this deck is still kind of suspect, because it's not always gonna be there. You're not always gonna be able to get there. But at least the Kusan is gonna give you early pressure and late game pressure, and it's gonna remove something at the same time. So it offers everything of that you want to do against that leader. Alright, and for my final thoughts about the deck, Smoker is something that I didn't have too high up in my tier list, but I think I've changed my mind a little bit about him. He is really strong. I think he's one of the... It could be a tier 1 deck, sure, of course, depending on how he's played, and it's been a really impressive deck against... I mean, it doesn't have something bad. Like, it doesn't have a bad matchup, it doesn't have a good matchup. Like, it's round down the middle on everything, but it's really good. I mean, it's a good option. It's not as consistent as other decks, but it does have some powerful draws where you can actually out-tempo your opponent and have that being like your game plan. It's not a bad choice if you want to play him, and yeah, it's a decent deck. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a good day.